Scrap Masters, it is week number 24, and I am about to roll and spin my way to a completed quilt top number 1. I'm super excited. Are you ready? Let's get started. Well, welcome Scrap Masters Quilters and friends out there. It is a fantastic day in the studio. My name is Rob Appell. I'm a quilt maker at Stitchin Heaven in Quitman, Texas. Did I just say Quiltman? I did. Quitman, Texas. Boy, I've got threads on the brain. I am so wound up, and I am sorry, but it is. It's week number 24 of the Scrap Masters. I have become the master scrapper or a master scrapper, and I've had so much fun the last several weeks with what started as a kind of health quilt block, a palette cleanser, if you will. I needed something to do when I didn't know what to do, and I was inspired by my friend Chris at Rose City Originals in Portland, Oregon. And so yeah, utilizing some dye, a few easy quilt blocks, and a color spinner that I made in the garage, we have created a random scrap block generator, and I now have 24 blocks that are 12 and a halfs, going to be 12s in the quilt, and I'm super excited to put it together. Of course, I'm going to keep going and going and going, and we also have a wonderful Facebook page, So Well, Rob Appell, and go ahead and join us there. There is so much fun going on. If you're brand new to the show, brand new to the channel, welcome, welcome, welcome. Please consider subscribing if you enjoy the content. It is very quilt and humor related. And like I said today, I'm going to sew live on camera, making my choices on how to go ahead and put together my last block. And then I want to talk about the quilt and what I've learned over the last several weeks of building this out. And I'm going to put the whole project together and show you what I have come up with. And the cool thing about this is there are absolutely no rules, and therefore if you're just finding out, you can jump in at any time, and there's a link in the description below for that. Plus, like I said, that Facebook group will get you caught up. And therefore, with no further ado, it is time. We are going to go ahead and do our roll and spin for block number 24. The first roll will tell us which of the 6 free blocks we'll be using this week. Oh boy. All I'm hoping for really, and I saw this also in the comments last week, is the color blue. I've been saving this awesome square. It is a scrap. It won't fit any of these pieces visually, but it will definitely fit size-wise. So here we go. Doesn't matter which one we get today. I'm just hoping the color blue is part of it that I can work in my awesome little star there. Okay, that's it. We have block number 4. Oh, it's a good one, folks. It's a very good one. Block number 4. They're all good ones. I'm excited about this. So we're going to go ahead and make ourselves a bunch of half square triangles. And now let's go ahead and see what color we're going to generate those in. Like I said, I'm hoping for blue. If I keep my finger on the blue, maybe that'll help the sound. Let's see. Here we go. I did it! Awesome. Okay, well, blue violet is the color week 24. Oh, this is exciting. Did I push it towards blue? Anyways, I'll make that work. Don't you worry, because I was hoping to add in a few more purples this week to help coordinate where I'm at on the design wall. And that's been really the most fun, is watching the design change each and every week as I go. Okay, now the last die with 20 numbers on it is going to tell us how many different fabrics we can use in our block number 4 this week. We're hoping for a big high number. Come on now, come on now. This one jumps around a lot. 8. That's not a big number, but it's a workable number. Now, like I said, I want to limit myself to utilizing this. So that is going to limit me to 2 fabrics right there. Now, if I have more of those in my scrap pile, which I do, okay, so there's the blue. So that's now I have at least pieces I can use from that, but that is still 2. And I want to go ahead and I want to use from my blue violets 3, 4. Need a little bit of high contrast in there. 5. I'll be saving these red orange combos for the top row when I get there. What do I do? What do I do? Yeah, that's it. 6. There's going to be some green near it, so should we sneak in some pop color? Oh, I'm liking that. 7. And then that would give this the 8. Now, the way I'm going to break this down, let me give you a little more information than I normally do. But as I look at this now, I want to really choose my darkest pieces. However, this unit is going to be replaced with my center square here. So my eye is going to be drawn here, but I still really want to have some dark colors out here. And therefore, what I'm going to really play within to make this all pop is where I see my light tones going through here is I'm actually going to use these greens. As I work through it, I might also use this blue as one of those light colors. So now the easiest way for me to do this, I've already prepared my squares into 3-inch prepped out squares. So for example, as I want to do these with my dark pieces, I will go ahead and take this and this as a 3-inch square set, and that'll yield 2 half square triangles, okay? So that may yield those 2, but I'm gonna need 8 total. So again, I'm gonna take now this and another one from my dark. You see, this is how I'm gonna generate that random scrap of feel, okay? And now I'm gonna pull 2 of these also and pair them with those other same ones that I had as my darks, making sure I get them right sides together. So what I really do now is I'm going to choose each of my combinations working from the grayscale pattern. Okay, so that did those outer half square triangles. I know my center block is built. I'm going to need some other half square triangles. Let's mix in this light tone now. And I'm going to need 8 of those as well. So let's go ahead and keep with that dark feel. And we'll do the same thing. We're going to mix in the light, here. And I like a scrappy looking block. So I'm going to grab one more. No, that would be, I want my mids. So I do want that one there. So I just kind of think, I kind of play, I don't spend too much time perseverating over any one color choice as I go through. So now I have these half square triangles to make. The rest will be standard squares, which I will trim from my 3-inch down to 2.5 inch, lay it out here in just a second to show you, and then I'll put all the rows and columns together. But let's build those half square triangles. I'm going to go ahead and move my edge guide out of the way. I'm just going to use this seam tape. And I've done so many millions of these now, I've also learned that using my 3-inch gives me a real easy trim down using like my slotted trimmer, just making sure my fabrics are right sides together. I do get going a little too fast, and often that happens. Benefit of working with solids, I guess, right? So I'm just going to chain piece all these half square triangles. I've learned so much while working on this Scrap Masters project with all of you. And that is one of the things I've learned. Doing my half square triangles first allows me to kind of dry fit them onto the project here. And then I can choose which of the squares, count those into stacks, and trim those very quickly. As you've been watching me do these live during the live shows, hopefully. If not, do check those live shows out. Just flip my squares over so that I can get 2 half square triangles out of each 3-inch square sets. Now I'm kind of just using my foot along the other thread. Sometimes I get a little close, so I gotta remember to give myself a little more distance. Because of that 3-inch, I don't need to be in so tight there. I'm just using my long straight ruler here to go ahead and separate the squares now on the diagonal. And then I bring in my little slotted trimmer to true them up to a 2.5 inch using the little line on the thread there. Because this is Scrap Masters, and excuse my French, this is not Crap Masters, folks. We're really trying to do nice work here, even though we're going relatively quick in our choices. The quick in our choices just helps us keep moving, because remember, this was all about knowing it didn't really matter which individual block. This was our experiment. It didn't matter what we did with each block, because the whole quilt as a whole, as a body, is beautiful, right? And so therefore, as we work through these, this is, I think, a very good metaphor for life also, but we just kind of let go. Those of you who have been participating in this have done an amazing job. I'm so proud of each and every one of you. Thank you for sewing and posting. And of course, I'm not done. I'm just getting started. This is really exciting, but I really want to have a finished quilt top that I can take around with me and show off what we can do if we sometimes don't overthink it, right? And so anyways, I'm so excited for what the outcome of this project has become for me and so many of you. Let's talk about what we've learned a little bit as we trim these down. I learned that you can't use all fabrics together. For me, it was too much. And I think that's why I originally said I don't care for scrappy quilts. I had to take my scrap bin and I spent several days organizing it. And that was a little frustrating and very anxiety forming for me. Didn't like that feeling. And that's where I came up with the idea of, let's do boneyard bundles. Let's come up with something that if folks don't have a developed palette yet, because I was learning, I needed to have something that worked together, right? I picked and chose a bunch of my fun brights left over from other projects I had done, but not everybody had that access. So then we started creating bundles of fabrics that would be really fun, different, unique, that could be used in a lot of my projects. Because as you see, I use this rainbow style palette over and over again. So it's really kind of in how the fabrics work together and play together, which brings me back to what I really learned is not all fabrics play well together. I wish we could say that. I wish it was a perfect world and all fabrics got along. But not all fabrics do get along, and so therefore we need to make space in places where fabrics don't get along, and they can just do what they're doing on their own time, I guess, and at their own places, but not in my space, that's for sure. So at any rate, that's what we're doing here. We're going to sew those squares, and I'm pretty excited, and I'll most likely leave this layout very similar to as you see it, because I've been playing over the weeks. And that's the second thing I learned, was being flexible, allowing each week's roll and spin to guide the block. And then as I built more and more blocks, usually every 3 or 4 blocks would really start to change the effect of the quilt. And a few weeks back, I dialed into this color concept where you could start to see the oranges and the purples pulling and the greens in different directions because of so many of the multicolor blocks I created in the way I played with my color tones. And so very pleasing is this layout. And so I was hoping for the blue, not only for the use of my original scrap, but also hoping for the blue because I've kind of left space in the quilt up high for it. And that'll allow me now to wrap it up and bring in these last blocks. So I got very fortunate, and of course there are no rules, so you can do whatever you like. And folks, what I really hoped we all would do is just go ahead and download the free pattern from the link in the description below and enjoy it, share it with your guilds, turn it into something fun. Turn it into something that you can do even if I'm not rolling and spinning, so that you always have something to sew on. We spend a lot of time in our sewing rooms looking for peace, I believe. And if you don't know what you want to work on, sometimes that causes that spin out factor, right? Start rolling around in circles and making just a bigger mess and hiding stuff from yourself for later and all of that. And so what you really need to do is just sit down and send some stitches down range, if I may quote my dear friend, the Quilting Marine, and just start making stuff. Just be making stuff. So that's what we're doing here. And I think I talked just long enough to make a beautiful pile of fabric scraps for later. We won't be using those things. Okay, now for these, I'm going to press them to what we've always referred to as the dark side for no particular reason at all today. Just good quilting management. But then this is going to allow me to lay out the design and pick and choose which of the last blue and purple squares and green squares I'll be laying out within my design. So as I look here, again, this will be the center block here. I've got the half square triangles built. And so what I really need to kind of figure out is these 4, 8, 10, 12 pieces, which like I said, we're going to be the kind of the lights to make everything pop. And I want to kind of keep everything else out around the outside a little darker. So I think I'm going to pull this one. I need 8 of them, 10 of them I said. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to use the last 1, 2, and I'm just kind of stacking, watching a single corner to line up those corners because I'm going to use that as my cut corner. So there's 4, and I'll use 6 of these because it's supposed to be more on the blue side. And 6 is about as many as I like to cut in any one stack because then they do start to get kind of sloppy. So these I'll be trimming to 2.5s by using that cut corner here. I'm going to find that 2.5 mark there. Shift my rotary cutter into thick cut mode. Oh. Okay, that gets me started. So I've got this here, and now I want to go ahead and start building what'll be around there. We're going to throw in 1. Oh, if I've got the 4, those could be my cornerstones. Oh, this is going to get good, folks. It's not going to be real random looking, though, because of the, I guess my math is off there this morning, huh? Not going to be real random looking due to the smaller number. It seems like it usually needed to get to like 10, 12, 14, 16 to get the real random looking blocks because then you had a lot more pieces of fabric to choose from. 8 was kind of just enough, I think. Of course, that's why I made it so there would be no rules. Okay, that's looking good. Now we can build in our half square triangles around here where it kind of makes the light as a teepee. This is where we can get a little bit more random. And these are going to point into the darks here. So that's where those lights rotate out. Now I just need my 4 cornerstones out here, and I'm just going to pick, as you can see, those were from kind of the darks, and do the same thing. One of those is already cut. 2, 3, 4 to make it a little more random feeling there. Not the darkest of fabrics, but helps the eye jump around a bit as we go. Now as I drop these in, I'll kind of try to find a place where I'm not using too much of the same ones. Not terrible there. So that's going to be the block. And now the easiest way for us to build this is literally to sew in rows across, realigning the edge guide here. Now, when I get up into the 3rd and 4th row, because of that being a square, I'll build a square and I'll build a square and connect those. So I'll kind of treat the center 2 rows as 4 patches coming together. But the bottom 2 and the top 2 rows here, it's going to be easier to sew them in rows as I go. One of the other tricks I've learned now while we're doing this, each row I'm going to iron in the opposite direction from the last. So that helps these little square seams nest together as I sew the rows. I learned years ago, very convenient to kind of sew block by block right off of my cutting mat to my machine. So it'll be the same format as I go across this row. I'll just iron it in a different direction to cause the seams to lay in the opposite direction. And in order to get that to work, I actually rotate the strip because I've always just kind of ironed this direction. But by setting it back down allows me to double check my layout and make sure everything's coming together as necessary there. Then I can take these two strips and sew them together with these unions really nice and tidy. And that's the thing I've really been enjoying about the way that the random blocks are designed and coming together is there's so many really, really cool color changes and tricks and things that have happened on the quilt based on the way two random blocks created weeks apart have come together and are touching based on color. And that's the other thing, and we'll talk about that in a second here. Let's get this block finished. But the way we put the quilt together. Okay, and that's it. Our last seam of my last block anyways here on the first Scrap Master Quilt top. And like I said, now I want to dive into a little bit more of what I've learned about the layout and what happened a few weeks ago. Hopefully you can start to see where the color pattern, I had a couple of these blocks that were made with kind of a split, you know, wow, you can see the purple orange on one side, the blue turquoise on the other. And so I've been constantly building the quilt by focusing on color groupings, the purples, and then I let it grow into maybe the pinks, into the oranges. And that's why several weeks in, I started using a variety of different colors in most of the blocks. I have the last of these blocks here, which are primarily a red family. So this will be like my strongest of the reds. The orange, I have a little bit of green in here. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this block here and I'm going to push it into the upper row over above the greens and keep bringing that way so that I can take the new blue block and place it here on the wall. And then I always like to step back and really get a good look at what's going on within the project. And now I can see for myself that stands out almost a little too strong up there. So I'm going to start mixing and matching my blocks, maybe bringing this one down more into this darker section here, because I don't want to just throw something up out there that looks wild. So now I have a dark block down in here. And the purples I used are the same purples in that one there. So that's really going to help. And I think you can see now the tones are carrying better. And within this green here, what I probably want to do, you see, is this block has got some of the darker blue. So this here, just going to kind of push the colors. That looks real nice together. Way up here, I've got one that has more limey green in it. So I do believe I should probably pull it down. Then my top row, I'll be able to lay out this way. Yes. And yes. So therefore, because these are up on the design wall, and now all I need to do, all of them were made to be the same size, I'm going to just start to match up what are, the seams here. And with that same 1/4 inch seam allowance, matching as many of these different little points I have as I go along, I'm going to start to build really simple rows of 4 blocks across, and then I'll have 6 down for my total of 24. Oh, and as I come into these last few inches, I really will tell you, it couldn't have been much easier to assemble everything because of the way all of those little squares lined up. I'm really excited how this fun, kind of inspired idea came together, folks, and here it is, the final version of my Scrap Master #1 quilt top. I'll make sure I get a nice couple of shots for you out there, but color gradient all the way through, and you can see how fun that is, the way the different blocks kind of exchange. There's that top row that was laying on the design table, and you can see now how all of those colors pull together so nicely like that, and isn't that awesome? Super cool, super fun. And I just want to say thank you again for all of you that have been here with me for the 24 weeks and have been posting on that Facebook page. That's really awesome. Thank you to all of you who are just joining along now and getting inspired. Remember, the Patreon is free. There's a link in the description below. Please make sure you subscribe if you like today's video. We've got all kinds of fantastic stuff. And don't forget, normally, the Scrap Masters is a weekly live sew along where I'm making the block and talking about some of the color decisions and some of the sewing tricks I learned each and every week. So I'll see you there. Until then, thanks for being here, folks, and please stay well. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end of the video. It really helps support our channel. If you haven't subscribed, do so now. Hit the little button to be notified every time we go live or do a new video for all of you. And here's one from the past I think you'll really enjoy.